Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works. Everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe. They're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel it how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it SWorks. Action on Taylor, the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this war going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Private schools for the kiddies. We the city, yeah, we litty. All I know is it's work. With the heart, keep it busy. Know the life can be tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. S-Works handle business.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't finna none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky's the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, S work, do your thing. S work, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. S work, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. S work, show some love.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works. Everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe. They're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel it how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. And S works what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it SWorks. Action on Taylor, the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our babies, this war going crazy. I pray for my city to reimburse. Private schools for the kiddies. We the city, yeah, we litty. All I know is it's work. With the heart, keep it busy. Know the life can be tricky, but please just let me finish. Let me just be a witness. S-Works handle business.
Social works, social works.
SWorkshops are a series of online workshops featuring the many incredibly talented friends of SocialWorks. This series aims to inspire and educate, bringing local and national creatives live to your smartphone. They will be sharing and teaching specific aspects of their craft. A wide variety of professions, interests, and hobbies are represented within our curriculum. Did we mention it's a fundraiser too? The stay-at-home notice has students wondering what's to come. For some, graduation and prom will both be canceled. This campaign will directly fundraise a celebration event for those students within the Chicagoland area. Once it's safe, of course. Tune in to any of our socials for one or all of the SWorkshops. You can find the full schedule of programming at socialworksshy.org or on our Instagram. Classes start Monday, April 13th. We'll see you there.
Hey all, my name is Alicia, but I go by the nickname Chacha. I have an awesome video that I recorded for you today where I talk about health and nutrition and all sorts of fun stuff. But before we get into that, I just wanted to remind everyone who's watching that this is a fundraiser. SocialWorks is raising money to host a citywide graduation and prom for all of the high school seniors that are missing out on these hallmarks of adolescence due to COVID-19. I personally remember feeling like Beyonce and Khalees at my prom. So SocialWorks is trying to do something super cool, but in order to do that, we need your coins. So if you feel inclined to give, the easiest way to do it is to text Social Works to 797979. Again, that's Social Works. Text it to 797979. You are very appreciated. You can follow the work that Social Works does on YouTube. You can follow them on IG, on Twitter, and on Facebook. I also wanted to let you guys know that I will be sticking around to answer questions at the very end of this. So if you have questions, comments, or you just want to shout me out, say what's up, please feel free to drop me a line in the comment box. You can go to slido.com to ask questions using the hashtag SWorks. And with no further ado, I bring you Nutrition Bites with Chacha. So tech team, take it. Hi everyone, my name is Alicia, but I go by the nickname Chacha. I'm a volunteer with a nonprofit organization based here in Chicago called Purple Asparagus. Purple Asparagus seeks to educate children, families, and the community about foods that are not only good for your body, but that are also good for the planet. And that's how I got connected with Social Works Shy, which is why I'm here today to talk to all of you. I am super excited to be here talking with you guys today, but I'm just gonna level set for a second. As you guys can see, I have you in my kitchen with me. So I say that to say we're gonna keep this very casual, and I hope that's okay. Before we get started, I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I'm a master's student studying dietetics and nutrition at the University of Southern California. I was born and raised in LA, but I now live here in Chicago with my 1-year-old daughter. My husband is originally from the south side of Chicago, shout out to my boo, but he's currently deployed. So this means that nutrition is a second career for me. My first career was in fashion, however, I felt called to do more for my community. I'm extremely passionate about working with people of color, women, children, and families, particularly in marginalized communities that lack access and resources, because I truly believe that knowledge is the key to helping people make informed decisions about their health and nutrition. With that being said, I'm going to talk to you guys today about building a healthy diet and about what a balanced plate looks like. And then we're going to do a quick cooking demo of one of my favorite 15-minute meals that is so perfect for a time like this when we're all locked in the house with nowhere to go, but we still need to eat, right? Right. So let's dive in. In talking about health and achieving health, some may say it takes a lot of energy, effort, time, and money to maintain health, but it doesn't have to, because really good health is all about making choices. You want to make sure you're making choices that give you the right balance of energy, that provide you with taste satisfaction, because being healthy isn't fun if the food doesn't taste good, right? That don't take a lot of time, because health also shouldn't come at the expense of you spending hours upon hours in the kitchen slaving over these decadent meals. And then they need to be cost effective, because health isn't reserved just for the wealthy. It's for everybody. So again, I reiterate, health is achievable if you're making the right choices and if you understand how to make the right choices. So who knows what macronutrients are? If you don't know, that's okay, because I'll tell you. Macronutrients are basically classifications for the foods that we eat, and they all serve very different purposes in our body. The first macronutrient that we're going to talk about are carbohydrates or carbs, something that I'm sure most of you are pretty familiar with. But for those of us who aren't familiar, some carbohydrate containing foods are breads, whole grains, pastas, fruit, and vegetables like corn or potatoes. Carbs are the number one source of fuel for both your body and your brain. Carbs give you energy when you need it, and when you don't need it, they are stored in your liver so that when fuel isn't readily available, your body can tap into the storage and get more. Carbohydrate is basically a fancy word for sugar. There are many different types of carbohydrates. Some are simple, some are complex, and some are packaged as both simple and complex at the same time. Mind blown, right? There are unrefined carbohydrates, which are your fruits, your vegetables, your whole grains, and then there are refined carbohydrates, which are your bagels, your cookies, your pastries, and things along those lines, and they both do very different things in your body. The next macronutrient is protein. Some protein foods are fish, chicken, meat, eggs, nuts, soy, yogurt, and beans. Almost everything in your body is made up of protein, so we call protein the building blocks of our body. Protein is good for muscle development, skin, nails, blood, and other important chemicals within the body. Unlike carbohydrates, which are stored in the liver, protein is not stored in the body. And finally, we have fat. Some good sources of fat are avocado, oily fish like salmon, olive oil, and cheese. Fats are good to help protect the systems of the body and to help produce chemicals that are needed within the body. Now, the tricky thing about fat is that there are good fats and there are bad fats. Bad fats raise cholesterol, and high levels of bad fats in the body lead to illness and inflammation, while good fats continue to contribute to the positive roles of fat in the body, like protection and hormone production. To summarize, carbohydrates are going to be your primary source of energy. There are both simple carbs and complex carbs, and when not being used as energy, the broken down carbs are stored in the liver. Proteins are the building blocks of our bodies and are great for muscle development and more. Protein foods are not stored in the body. Fats are great for protection and hormone production, but as a reminder, there are both good fats and bad fats to be mindful of. Fats are stored in your tissues. So now we're going to talk a little bit about refined carbohydrates versus unrefined carbohydrates. Carbs equal energy. So you want to eat carbs. In fact, the majority of calories that you consume in a day should be carbohydrates, with the exception of certain individuals who have specific conditions. However, this doesn't mean that you should have a cupcake at every meal. Instead, you should opt for more unrefined carbohydrates that are low in calories, low in sugar, low in salt, high in nutrients, and high in fiber, which helps with the digestion and helps to keep you full for longer. Refined carbohydrates are high in fat, high in calories, high in salt, high in sugar, and very low in nutrients and have little to no fiber, which means that you'll be hungry very shortly after eating them. Refined carbohydrates spike your blood sugar because they're very easy for your body to process. So you'll get a burst of energy followed by a huge crash. Refined carbohydrates are stripped of all of their nutrients like fiber, vitamins, and minerals, and oftentimes colors are added, artificial colors are added to make them more appealing. Unrefined carbohydrates are packed with fiber, which takes longer to digest, which means you get a more steady release of energy that lasts longer. So which do we think is better for maintaining energy throughout the day? Unrefined carbs, right? Right. So what is fiber? I know you may have heard me mention it a few times, and some of you may be unfamiliar with the term, so let me explain. When we talked about carbohydrates, you may have heard me mention that there are simple carbs and there are complex carbs. Fiber is a complex carb that is known to be good for digestion. Fiber is found in plant foods like fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, and grains. The reason why fiber is good for digestion is because our bodies can't actually break it down all the way. You would think that we wouldn't want to eat something that our bodies can't break down, but it's actually the opposite. Fiber is so good for you because it can't be broken down, and I'll talk more about that in a second. Fiber is known to help lower cholesterol levels. It can aid in flushing some toxins out of the body. It can decrease the spike in blood sugar that we talked about. And because of this, it helps to keep you full for longer. It helps keep you using the bathroom regularly, which is a thing that we don't usually talk about out loud, but it's super important for your health. Fiber can also help prevent some chronic illnesses like obesity, type 2 diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. And it can help nourish your gut microbiota. For those who may not know, your gut microbiota are all of the good bacteria that's found in your stomach that helps with digestion. You need your gut bugs to be happy because when the bad bugs overrun the good, a lot of bad things can happen, like improper absorption of nutrients, irregular blood sugar, confused feelings of hunger versus fullness, and storing of fat. An imbalance of gut bacteria can lead to obesity, which can be the precursor to a number of other really serious health conditions that you want to avoid at all costs. Now, there are two types of fiber. You have your soluble fiber and your insoluble fiber. The biggest difference between the two is that soluble fiber absorbs water and insoluble fiber does not, which means that it stays intact. Soluble fiber slows digestion so that you stay full for longer, and insoluble fiber, because it's fully intact, it helps move things along your digestive tract and encourages movement and prevents constipation. The recommendation for daily fiber intake is between 25 to 30 grams per day. But what does that even mean? Some examples of good sources of fiber are pears, which contain 5.5 grams for a medium-sized pear, apples, which contain 4.4 grams of fiber for a medium-sized apple, 1 cup of chopped avocado, which contains 10 grams. To break this down a little bit more simply, a half an avocado, which is about 100 grams, has about 6.7 grams of fiber in it. 1 cup of raspberries has 8 grams of fiber. 1 cup of cooked chickpeas has 12.5 grams of fiber. 1 cup of raw oats contains 16.5 grams of fiber. 1 cup of cooked lentils contains about 15.6 grams of fiber. And 1 ounce of almonds, which is about 20 almonds, contains 3.4 grams of fiber. Those are a lot of really great sources for fiber, and there are so many more out there. Understanding good sources of fiber is one thing, but let's talk about how this all fits into your day and what this could look like in real life. Most people are only getting between 15 to 17 grams of fiber per day, which isn't great. It's super easy to fit more fiber into your diet if you just know how. So let's start with breakfast. If you start your day with half a cup of oatmeal topped with 1 cup of raspberries, you're already at 16 grams of fiber, which is an awesome way to start the day. My mornings usually start with oatmeal or a green smoothie, and to be 100% honest with you, I hate oatmeal, but I eat it because I know it's good for me. I usually have my oatmeal topped with a combination of raspberries, blackberries, and blueberries, either the fresh or the frozen kind, both work. And I like to add in some pumpkin seeds or almond slivers or another type of nut for some crunch. And then I load my oatmeal with cinnamon for flavor and antioxidants, which we'll talk about in a little bit when we talk more about plants. And then I use a light drizzle of honey to add some sweetness, and suddenly my most hated breakfast food isn't so bad. Moving on to lunch, let's say you have a turkey sandwich, so we'll estimate the lettuce and tomatoes at about 1.5 grams of fiber, and depending on what kind of bread you use, you could also add additional fiber there. For example, I use Ezekiel bread, which is a sprouted grain bread, or Dave's Killer bread, which is a whole grain bread, and either one of those breads would give me an additional 6 to 8 grams of fiber. So a turkey sandwich plus a medium apple will give you a total of about 6 grams of fiber for lunch. Then you can have a snack of a handful of almonds. We'll round down to count this as 3 grams of fiber. And then for dinner, let's say you have fish or chicken tacos topped with lettuce and tomatoes, onions and peppers. So we'll estimate this at about 3 grams of fiber. And then you top your tacos with half of a chopped avocado, which we'll say is 6 grams of fiber, to get you 9 grams of fiber for dinner. And if you add all of these together, you're already exceeding the daily recommendation at 34 whole grams of fiber, which is awesome. So I've talked a lot about fiber helping with digestion and keeping you full for longer, but how does it do that? So on this diagram, the red line represents the foods that are high in simple carbs. Now remember, our simple carbs are our refined carbs, so that's going to be like your processed foods, your cookies, your cupcakes, your pizza, things along those lines. These foods are easily broken down by the body and energy is easily released. But then, shortly after eating these types of foods, the energy runs out. The green line represents the foods that are packed with complex carbs, like fiber-containing foods, your foods that are going to be unprocessed, that are going to be found in nature, like your fruits, your vegetables, and your whole grains. Because complex carbs take longer to digest and absorb the energy that is packed along with the fiber, energy is released at a much slower but more steady rate, making it better for maintaining your energy throughout the whole entire day. And now for our first round of This or That. With 5 seconds on the clock, I challenge you to identify which food is more nutritious, this or that. Now we're going to talk about phytonutrients, sometimes referred to as phytochemicals. Phytonutrients are protective nutrients that are found within whole foods that come from the earth, like fruits, vegetables, and grains that protect our bodies. They're chemicals that protect the plants, so when we eat the plants, we're protected as well. We're supposed to be getting between 5 to 9 servings of fruits and vegetables in one day. Most people only get 2 to 3 servings, and there are some people who don't eat a single fruit or vegetable all day. Getting more fruits and vegetables in your diet is super important to help prevent chronic illnesses like obesity, hypertension, diabetes, and cardiovascular disease. So now I'll share with you guys 5 tips to getting more phytonutrients into your diet. Tip number 1. Aim for 9 servings of plant foods daily. That could be a half a cup of veggies, 1 cup of raw leafy greens like spinach, or a medium-sized piece of fruit like an apple. Number 2, know your phytonutrient sources. Phytonutrients are found in nuts, seeds, and even herbs and spices. Number 3, eat the rainbow. Plants come in all different colors: reds, greens, yellow, orange, blue, purple, and more. And each color provides us with different benefits. So if you aim to eat fruits and vegetables from each color group, then you're maximizing the protective benefits that you're providing for your body. Number 4, Vary your choices. There are over 25,000 types of phytonutrients that have been identified. So if you end up eating the same plant foods every day, even though beneficial, you may be missing out on a number of different important phytonutrients that could be found from other sources. It's important for you to be willing to try new things because you may come across a few new favorites. Number 5, be creative. Think about ways to substitute less nutrient-dense options with more nutrient-dense options that are packed with phytonutrients but still provide the same great taste. For example, you can swap out white rice with brown, purple, or even black rice, or you can substitute French fries for a baked sweet potato. A great way to add in some additional phytonutrients at the start of your day is with a green smoothie. One smoothie can easily give you 2 to 3 servings of fruits and vegetables before you've even stepped out the door. The recipe I use for my daily smoothie is super easy and super adaptable, and there are also thousands of different recipes available online. While smoothies can be packed with nutrients, the ones that you get from Jamba Juice or Smoothie King can also be packed with tons of added sugar. So when I'm making mine at home, I like to stay away from that. I use a 16-ounce Ninja cup for my smoothie. However, a regular blender works too. You just may need to play with the liquid to solid ratio a little bit in order to get you a consistency that works for you. I always start with 1 cup of either fresh or frozen spinach. Then I add in another cup of frozen mixed fruit. I usually don't use berries when spinach is my base because the smoothies come out a gross brown color and I really hate that. So I stick to fruits like apples, mangoes, peaches, strawberries, and bananas that won't overtake the smoothie with their color. I know that's a little weird, but I like my smoothies to be pretty too. Then I'll usually add in about 3/4 of a cup of plain Greek yogurt with no added sugars, and I'll use 3 dates for natural sweetness and for additional fiber. Honey is also a good option for a natural sweetener that has lots of antioxidants in it, which I know I mentioned earlier. Then I pour in about a 1/2 cup of water. You can also use coconut water, almond or soy milk, or whatever type of milk you prefer. Using milk is a great way to get in additional calcium and protein, but just make sure that if you're using a plant-based milk that it doesn't have too many added sugars. And finally, I add in ground flaxseed for protein, fiber, and omega-3s, and chia seeds, which are also good for fiber, iron, and omega-3s. A quick note on omega-3s. Omega-3s are good fats that are found in nuts, seeds, and oily fish like salmon that help with reducing inflammation in the body, increasing the good cholesterol, lowering the bad cholesterol, and they help with reducing blood pressure and have so many more benefits that are associated with heart health, metabolic syndrome, weight gain, and obesity. Of course, the flax and chia seeds are optional, but they are definitely a nice added boost. I've got all of my ingredients pictured beautifully here for you guys to see. After I pack all of my ingredients into my 16-ounce Ninja, I go ahead and press blend. I blend for about 30 seconds or until everything is super smooth and the entire smoothie has turned green. Sometimes if the smoothie is too thick, I'll add a little bit of extra water just to even out the consistency a little bit and just to make it a little bit more drinkable. And now you are ready to pour your smoothie and serve. This one came out a little bit thicker than I typically like, but it was still delicious and still a great way to start the day with a ton of phytonutrients and fiber. So now that we've talked about all the important macronutrients, let's put it all together on a balanced plate. This diagram is USDA's MyPlate model, which shows an example of what a balanced meal looks like. Meals should be a combination of each of the macronutrient groups that we've talked about previously, your carbs, your protein, and your fats. Half of your plate should be fruits and non-starchy veggies, meaning a leafy green like spinach or broccoli or carrots. An example of a starchy vegetable would be corn or potatoes. Like we just talked about, you want to make sure you're varying the fruits and vegetables you eat to maximize your intake of different phytonutrients. Always aim to eat the rainbow. 1/4 of your plate should be a grain. Here, you should opt for whole grains like brown rice or quinoa as opposed to refined grains like white rice because, as we talked about earlier, refined products have been stripped of their nutrients and fiber. Whole grains are packed with fiber to keep you full, iron, and B vitamins, which help give you energy. The other 1/4 of your plate should be protein. When thinking about your protein, you should aim for lean proteins like chicken or fish as opposed to something like beef. Lean meats have less fat and less cholesterol, both which contribute to higher levels of bad fats in the body, and when present in excess can lead to chronic illness and inflammation, which are two things that we want to avoid. Beans, nuts, and tofu are also good plant-based options. You can also include a complementary serving of dairy, which adds key nutrients and vitamins to your diet like calcium and vitamin D. Of course, you can tailor this to your dietary preferences, though you should keep this in mind and use it as a general guideline to help you make healthy choices when planning your meals. So today, we're gonna make a quick and easy shrimp stir fry. Stir fry is one of my favorite go-to dishes for when I'm short on time, but I want something filling, healthy, and tasty. A stir fry is a great option for a time like now where we're all quarantined and we may be grocery shopping to last us longer than normal and fresh produce may not be as readily available. So all you'll need is a bag of frozen veggies, a protein of your choice. I'm using shrimp because it's my favorite and it's quick and easy. And then a grain of your choice. I am using 90-second brown rice because here's a little secret. I'm really bad at making rice the traditional way. So you can use brown rice, quinoa, or any other grain that works for you. The great thing about a stir fry is that you can truly make it your own and it's so hard to mess it up. This is my lovely lineup of spices. I used olive oil, a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, ancho chili powder, and a splash of soy sauce at the very end. The seasonings you use are totally up for interpretation. Again, it is very hard to mess up a stir fry. The only thing I would advise against is overdoing it on both the salt and the soy sauce because typically soy sauce has a very high salt content. I usually buy low sodium sauce, but Trader Joe's was all out, and I also usually sprinkle soy sauce over the veggies instead of using salt, but because this isn't my normal low sodium soy sauce, I just sprinkled a bit over everything at the very end. So first you'll start by cooking your meat. Most meats will take a lot longer to cook than the veggies, which should only take about 8 to 10 minutes. So once your meat is done, you can leave it on a low warming temperature while you take care of the veggies. Since shrimp cooks so quickly, I pretty much prepared both at the same time. I heated about 1 tablespoon of olive oil in my pan on medium to high heat, and I seasoned my shrimp lightly with a little bit of salt and a lot more pepper than salt because I'm a fan of spicy things. I cooked it through for about 8 minutes. Shrimp gets really rubbery and gross if you cook it too long, so you have to be careful of that. Next, I took care of my veggies by heating another tablespoon of olive oil in a pan and tossing the frozen veggies in. Now, you can use a frozen mix, but fresh veggies of your choice also work amazing as well. What I often do is use a frozen mix as my base and then add in fresh vegetables for more variety. Since we talked about eating the rainbow earlier, I felt like this mix was missing some reds, so I chopped up a red bell pepper that I had and I threw that in. I also had some mushrooms that I wanted to use, so I added those and I added some onions as well. I seasoned everything with a little bit of salt, pepper, garlic powder, and the ancho chili powder, and then I cooked them for about 8 minutes until they weren't frozen anymore and they were thoroughly cooked all the way through. Next, I combined my shrimp with my veggies. I let the seasonings and flavors blend together, and I'm almost ready to serve. Of course, we can't forget about my 90-second brown rice that I plated here so perfectly. I then topped my brown rice with my shrimp and veggie mixture. I added a little soy sauce, and dinner is ready to serve. We've discussed a lot of really great concepts. I've provided you guys with a ton of great knowledge that I hope is new to you, and I think we've learned a great deal about things like macronutrients and fiber and phytonutrients. But some of you may still be wondering, well, if I want to make a change, how do I get started? How do I take what I learned and apply it to my life? What are the steps that I can take to achieving health and wellness? Well, I'm glad you asked, because I have 8 things that you can do to help you put to use everything we've learned and achieve your goals. It sounds like a lot, but I promise the steps are really easy. First, think about where you need to make changes and prioritize those goals. You can't do everything all at once, so think about and figure out what is the most important to you. Second, baby steps are key. You can't make all your changes all at one time. That's a burdensome task and is a setup for failure. Start with one small thing, master that, and then go from there. Let's say your goal is to eat more plants. Becoming a vegan when you've been a meat eater for your entire life probably isn't realistic, so maybe start by doing Meatless Monday or even just one plant-based meal a week. Third, be realistic about your goals. I'll refer back to my example of wanting to eat more plants. Becoming a vegan is not a realistic goal if you've been a meat eater for your whole life. So instead, do something that's more achievable, like adding in an extra serving of fruit or veggies by incorporating a smoothie into your morning routine, or adjusting your meal patterns to be more plant forward and have meat just be a nice accent to complement the meal. Fourth, figure out what works for you. Not everything that works for your friends or your family members will work for you. I'll use an example from my own life. I've been trying to drink more water. A lot of people I know carry around a reusable thermos that they fill up whenever they can, and they're able to achieve their water goals that way. For some reason, that just doesn't work for me, so instead, I buy gallons of water and carry those around, and that's how I'm able to get my desired water intake in. I hate buying plastic water bottles because it's bad for the environment, but that's the method that works for me, so I do it. And I do always make sure to recycle. Fifth, now this is a big one, having a support system. When you're low on motivation and you just feel like giving up, it's an awesome feeling to be able to turn to someone that is rooting for you to succeed. I recommend getting an accountability partner because accountability plus action gets you results. Maybe think about partnering with someone who has similar goals as you. For me, my bestie Makia is my accountability partner. Hey girl, hey. We'll do things like random challenges where we pick an exercise for the week, like squats, and we have to do 100 of them a day. And because I know she'll be asking me at the end of the day if I did my squats, I do them, even if I don't want to. 6, keeping a health journal is a great way to track your progress and also recognize where you have opportunity for growth. A lot of people use apps instead of a written journal, but either one is great. They help you be more mindful of how you are approaching your health journey, and they're great for keeping you on track. 7th, don't get discouraged. You don't have to be perfect all of the time. Shoot for consistency, not perfection. Working out 3 out of 5 days a week is an awesome start. Remember, 3 days is better than no days. And if you are consistently working out or eating healthy or whatever it is for 3 days a week, then you're in a great place. You can use your health journal to recognize the consistency in your habit, and then you can try to move to 4 days, and so on. If you don't meet your goals one day, then that's okay. Just get up the next day and keep at it. Don't obsess over it. Instead, just aim to make healthy choices a regular part of your life. And finally, balance and moderation are key. It is totally okay to have a cookie every now and then or skip a day at the gym. I don't believe in sacrificing your quality of life to achieve an extreme standard of health. Because health is about how you feel in totality, and that includes your body, your mind, and your spirit. You don't have to completely give up your favorite foods that may not be the most nutrient dense in order to live a healthy life. Just make sure when you do indulge, you do so mindfully and in moderation. With these 8 simple steps in mind, achieving health and wellness suddenly became just that much easier. And that's all I've got for you guys today, but thank you so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. I hope you guys learned something. If there are any questions at all, feel free to hit me up on IG at Chasing Chacha, or you can always email me at arodrigo@usc.edu. Again, thank you all so much, and I hope you guys have a good one. Stay safe. All right, guys. So I hope you all enjoyed that. I hope you guys all learned something. I had a few questions pour in, so I'm just going to answer those really quickly. I'll start with the first one. So someone asked, how can I avoid refined carbs? To avoid refined carbs, I would say stay away from processed foods, things that come in a package. I would say to familiarize yourself with nutrition labels and start practicing reading labels, because it's really important to be able to identify what is in your food. And really the best way to avoid refined carbs is just to focus on plant foods. Eat fruits and vegetables, so focus on your produce, and then focus on whole grains. A lot of products will say that they have whole grains in them, but whole grains will be like the last ingredient and sugar will be the first one. So just be mindful of things like that, but really the number one way is to just focus on eating foods from the earth, fruits and vegetables. So the next question that I wrote down, so someone asked about if I recommend fiber supplements or if you should get your fiber from real food, which is an awesome question. So fiber supplements will definitely help you with constipation and with keeping you regular. However, I read recently that supplemental fiber is not as beneficial in terms of preventing against disease like cancer risk, diabetes, or heart disease. So with that in mind, I think fiber from whole foods, from fruits, from vegetables, whole grains, I think that's your best way to go. But if you are having like intestinal challenges and you just need a little push, a little boost or something, I think fiber supplements are definitely okay. But it should be a combination of the both if you're going to go the supplemental route, and really fruits and veggies are the best fiber you can get. So the next question I have, I love this question because I have a daughter. So someone asked, how can I get a 2-year-old to eat vegetables? So I think exposure is key. I have read that it takes up to 10 or more times to get a child to accept a new food. So you can't get discouraged. You shouldn't give up. Just keep exposing them to whatever that fruit or vegetable is. I think options, as far as options go, if you give them an option of peas or butternut squash, then they may not eat both, but they might eat one or the other. But if you give them the option of, chicken nuggets and peas, like obviously they're going to go for the chicken nuggets because they taste better. So I think that is important. And then just like encourage conversation around the food, instead of asking, oh, is it yummy? Like, does it taste good? Ask, what does it feel like? What does it smell like? I feel like that makes it more interesting. It makes it more of a conversation, more of an exploration. It's kind of like a little mini adventure for them. So I think, and also not to stress about it, really. Don't, worry yourself about whether or not your kid is eating vegetables, and eating all the vegetables. I think a lot of people want their kids to eat all the vegetables. If your kid only eats broccoli, then serve them broccoli. And then, just try to build other things in there. But I really love that question. And I think it's really important. Okay, another question that I had written down. So someone asked about purple asparagus. So purple asparagus is a nonprofit organization that I actually did one of my rotations with. That is a part of my dietetic program. We have to do 1,200 hours of dietetic internship. So I interned with purple asparagus for my nutrition education rotation. They're a nonprofit that seeks to educate children and families about healthy eating. They are partnered with Chicago Public School System, and they focus on grades K through second, mostly in underserved communities that lack access. And we bring new foods to the kids, and we encourage education and exploration and conversation. And it's just a really amazing program that I absolutely love. I'm so glad I found them, and I feel so blessed to be able to do part of my dietetic internship with them. So purple asparagus is awesome. Let's see. Another question I had. So someone asked about eating breakfast and what the benefits of eating breakfast are. So studies show that people who eat a healthy breakfast tend to weigh less. And I think it's just, it's great to start the day off with the right balance of energy. It boosts your metabolism and it gives you sustained energy so that you're not like starving by lunchtime, because when you're super hungry, you don't necessarily make the best choices. You might, grab the first thing you see. So if you eat a balanced breakfast at the start of the day, it will probably set you up for success to make more mindful choices throughout the day. All right, so let's see. Okay, so I actually had 2 questions come in about the keto diet, the ketogenic diet. So someone asked, someone expressed that they were interested in starting the keto diet, but they needed more information. And another person asked just about my thoughts on the ketogenic diet. So I have a lot of feelings about the keto diet. I personally do not love it for regular individuals, like normally healthy individuals. It has been shown to help with children who have seizures. So for that population, I think it's great. But as a diet, I'm just not really a fan of any diet that limits or restricts entire groups of macronutrients. I think balance is key. The ketogenic diet will probably allow you to lose weight quickly, but it's not really sustainable. So most people end up gaining the weight right back as soon as they get off of the ketogenic diet. In addition to that, most people aren't really doing the ketogenic diet correctly, and they're not actually achieving a state of ketosis. So really, I think the better option is to make healthy lifestyle choices that are sustainable, that you can maintain for the duration of your life, that will help you stay at a healthier weight for longer. So those are my thoughts on keto. Let's see. We had another question come in. Someone was asking about foods that are good for boosting energy. So I would say the majority of whole foods are going to give you so many nutrients that are vital to your metabolic processes. Those are the processes that are, inside your body that keep your body working and moving. But specifically, bananas are known to be really good for energy. Fatty fish or foods that are heavy in omega-3s. Proteins are really good, like nuts, eggs, fish, quinoa. Those are all really good energy foods. Leafy greens are great for energy. Apples, sweet potatoes, avocados. Caffeine obviously is great for energy. Just when you're drinking a coffee, don't load it up with a bunch of milk and sugar. But yeah, those are all some pretty good foods for boosting energy. But I'd really say that getting a balanced diet will give you the energy that you need. So I'd say it's important to make sure you're eating those 3 meals a day, getting your snacks in, your protein-rich snacks, and you should see your energy spike. So, and then let's see. Someone asked if it is safe to fry with olive oil. So I think I don't have a ton of knowledge about the heating points for different oils. I believe, from what I understand, coconut oil has a lower heating point. So I think coconut oil might be better for frying. I'm not 100% sure on that though, but if you hit me on my IG, which is Chasing Chacha, I can do a little bit of research. One of my classmates actually just posted something on Instagram about oils and what they're good for. So whoever had that question, just hit me on my IG and I'll do a little bit of research for you and I will bring more info to you. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Okay, someone is asking about low vitamin D levels. So vitamin D is super important for a lot of metabolic processes, and it can really help with your immune system response as well. So foods that are rich in vitamin D, I'm like blanking off the top of my head, but I know there's a lot of vitamin D in meats. There's a lot of vitamin D in like milks, and like a lot of foods are fortified with vitamin D. But whoever asked me that question, hit me on my IG as well, and I will get you a comprehensive list of some great foods that are heavy in vitamin D. Let's see. Someone else is asking, if you add a good fat to a refined sugar treat, is that better for blood sugar? So the honest answer to that question is probably no. Just because the refined sugar, that's going to spike your blood sugar no matter what you eat with it. So I would say stay away from those, especially if you have issues with blood sugar. I would say limit them, but of course, moderation is key. You can have those treats every now and again, but I just wouldn't have them super often. And it's like, if you're going to enjoy it, enjoy it. If you want the cupcake, enjoy the cupcake. Don't have 20 of them, but having one is totally okay. So yeah, I mean, I don't think there's ways to really improve how those things are processed in the body, they're going to do what they do. And yeah, if you're going to have the treat, have the treat. Let's see. Okay, someone is asking, how does one start on becoming a vegetarian? And what's replaced? Oh, that question just disappeared. Okay, well, someone was asking about, I guess, the steps you can take to becoming a vegetarian. So I have a more plant-based diet, and I would say start slowly. You can start by replacing one meal a day with just veggies and taking the meat out. Like, I used to be a person who had meat at most of my with most of my breakfast meals. I would do like a bread and maybe like some sauteed turkey or like a turkey sausage or something like that. So I started with breakfast. I replaced the turkey sausage with like oatmeal and with smoothies and with bowls of fruit and yogurt and nuts and seeds. And so that was easy for me to maintain. And then I kind of moved on to lunches. And, I would always have like a turkey sandwich or a salad with chicken. And instead of doing a chicken, I would do like a mushroom or things like that. I've also started to replace a lot of the meats that I eat with fish instead, which could be a good option. I know pescatarian is great healthy diet that works for a lot of people. The meat that I do eat is fish when I choose to eat meat, but I'd say start small. Just focus on upping your fruit and veggie intake. And that's really the easiest way to get more fruits and veggies into your diet and to start transitioning to a vegetarian lifestyle. And honestly, I think when it comes to classifying what kind of diet you have, it's a lot of people are very into labels like, oh, I'm keto, I'm vegetarian, I'm vegan, I'm plant-based. Honestly, it doesn't really matter, and you don't need to fit yourself into a box. Eat the food that you want to eat the food that is good for you and that's going to benefit your body the most. So if you are mostly plant-based, you're mostly vegetarian, but you want to eat chicken every now and again, that's okay. So you really just kind of have to figure out the right balance that works for you. But for any diet, really upping your fruit and veggie intake is going to be super beneficial. So even if you don't want to completely cut out meat, you don't have to, and that's okay. Let's see. Oh, someone asked a really important question about whether or not a healthy diet would help with COVID mitigation as a society. So this is a very loaded question, and we do only have 2 minutes left of this session. So this will probably be my last question. So I don't really know. I do think that it would help with a lot of individuals who have comorbidities that are leading to further complications and in some cases resulting in death from the COVID-19 situation. I know things like diabetes, like hypertension, like kidney disease. These are all, for the most part, nutritionally related illnesses. And a lot of these illnesses are causing further complications in COVID-19. So I do think that if nutrition was more of a priority for us as a society and we had less incidences of diabetes, hypertension, other conditions like that, then yes, I feel like it would play a role in helping reduce some of the complications that we've seen from COVID-19. So that's a really, really good question, a really loaded question, but but yes, I do. Let's see, are there any more questions? We've only got maybe less than a minute. You know, I don't know that I have the time to answer any more questions. However, I really, really appreciated this. If you guys have any questions that I haven't answered, please hit me on my IG, Chasing Chacha, or you can email me, arodrigo@usc.edu. But this has been really awesome. I hope you guys learned something, and I hope you guys all stay safe, stay healthy, and enjoy the rest of your days. Bye, guys.
Social works, social works, social works, social works.
Ready or not, here we come. South side, west side, east side, north side. Up on the run, we ain't for the none. We came in the party, we here for the fun. Celebrate life, the party we young. Sky's the limit, we looking above. We up in the sun, no matter what, we stay on the run. Ha, SWork, do your thing. SWork, keep it lit. Bullseye, keep your aim. Yeah, we up on the jib. North side, that's the way. Ready or not, here we come. SWork, keep the energy. Look, yeah, we never unplug. SWork, show some love.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Yeah, S works. Everyone put it in their hands. You know it's a vibe. They're waiting in line to get up and flood up the stands. Yeah, we in this together. We feeling like fam. It's all about peace. So pull up with friends. You better come through with you and your crew, cause everybody going in. S works, so we keep it lit. You can see how we move the city from the west side to the east. Ooh, you can feel how we leave through. It's all about the youth. Change the world through the tunes. Make the world to a better place. Saying S works, what we do.
Social works, social works, social works, social works, social works. Social works. Keep my family out the dirt. This organization, we stopping no Satan and open, but we call it SWorks. Action on tailor the killer verse. I do on my family, my city hurt. They killing our